Every year, the lights shine bright at the Arthur Ashe Stadium, and players battle for a spot in the history books. But, with decades of champions, is it possible to precisely say who the greatest of them all is? Who can be named the greatest US Open player of all time? The US Open tournament started in 1881, and it was initially played on grass and reserved for United States National Lawn Tennis Association club members. Over the years, the tournament had incredible winners like Bill Tilden, who won 16 US Open titles, and Margaret Osborne Dupont, who won a staggering 25 US Open titles. But I bet most of you have never heard these names, and that's because they played before 1968. Before the open era of tennis started. So, for the sake of this video, we'll only be discussing open era male singles players. Now that we narrowed it down, we only have about 55 years of men's singles data to analyze. Should be pretty easy, right? First off, I believe that whoever's won the most titles is the best player in any tournament. You can disagree with me if you want, but that's just how it's always worked. Titles mean more in tennis than anything else. Take the widely accepted criteria for best player of all time, and it's often based on the player with the most Grand Slam titles. So then, who's won the most US Open titles? That's when it gets interesting, because Roger Federer, Pete Sampras, and Jimmy Connors are all tied at 5 titles each. Federer with 5 straight titles from 2004 to 2008, Sampras in 1990, 93, 95, 96, and 2002, and Connors with his titles in 1974, 1976, 78, and back-to-back 82 and 83. So if we can determine the best by only looking at their titles, we'll have to go to the second best thing and start breaking down matches played. Now when it comes down to total wins, there's clearly one winner. Jimmy Connors. Connors competed in an amazing 23 US Opens and accumulated 98 wins, which is 9 more wins than the second place Federer and Djokovic, who have 89 wins each. To put it in perspective, that is more than winning another title, which would only give Federer or Djokovic 7 more wins, placing them at 96 wins. But total wins only show part of the story, because win percentage may be a better way to grasp how well a player actually played at a certain tournament. That is, what percentage of wins a player has out of all his matches. In this case, nobody matches the serving volley machine, Pete Sampras. To show just how dominant Sampras was in the US Open, I've collected data for the past 55 years from every Open era US Open men's singles champion and plotted in this graph with their win percentage on the y-axis and US Open titles on the x-axis, so the further up and to the right a player is placed, the better. As we start with the one-time champions, we'll see some familiar names like Safin, Thiem, Murray, Cilic, Leighton Hewitt, Andy Roddick, Del Potro, Rod Laver, and of course, Daniil Medvedev. Moving into the 2-time winners, we have Rafter, Edberg, and Agassi. The 3-time champion Landil, 4-time champions McEnroe, Nadal, and Djokovic. And to top the list, Jimmy Connors, Roger Federer, and in a league of his own, Pete Sampras. With the all-time highest win percentage in US Open history of 88.75%. In his 14 appearances at the tournament, Sampras had an unbelievable record of 71 wins and only 9 losses. So yeah, you can say he's the greatest US Open player of all time. At least for now, of course. You see, Djokovic right here is still playing. And if he manages to win this year's and next US Open, things will look like this. In this scenario, Djokovic will have 6 US Opens and will have narrowly passed Sampras in win percentage by less than 0.01% at 88.8%. And that would make him the undisputed US Open GOAT. And that's not all. Remember I said Sampras had the highest US Open win percentage ever? I have to say I lied. There's one player missing on the graph with an even higher win percentage than Sampras. Can you spot him? He's right here. At an 88.9%, Carlos Alcaraz has won 16 matches and only lost 2 during his 3 US Opens. If Alcaraz is able to keep the same win percentage and play until he's 35, the graph will look like this. Yes, Alcaraz is right now on pace to winning 5 more US Open titles and potentially dethroning Sampras. But that isn't happening anytime soon, at least not in the next 15 years. In the meantime, we can sit back and enjoy the next chapters unfold of the US Open, now knowing what it takes to be the GOAT.
US Open champion, Pete Sampras.
I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe for more content like that, and I'll see you in the next one.